I am especially happy today to have a couple of my colleagues at StockCharts, both Greg Schnell and Arthur Hill, two senior technical analysts, joining me today for a special panel discussion. We're going to talk a little bit about the membership here at StockCharts. Greg is going to he has volunteered to be a member during this panel discussion, and we have volunteered Arthur to be a non-member. So this ought to be really interesting. We're going to go over some of the things that really sets membership apart here at StockCharts, and at the same time gives you a lot of the ways that we use StockCharts. So I think it'll be very educational. At the same time, for some of you maybe that are non-members, maybe give you some reasons to consider taking out a free trial and learning what Greg and Arthur and I did a long time ago, which is that I don't know about you two guys, but I couldn't imagine life right now without StockCharts trying to do my trading and my investing. So I guess maybe first question is just, how would you go on without your StockCharts account?
Well, it's interesting that you say you volunteered me for taking the other side of this trade, so to speak, because I am looking at the free side and I'm seeing all the stuff, that I don't have access to my chart list. I don't have access to my scans. There's still a lot of information. I'm not saying it's, there's nothing out there, but there's really, it's a level up. When you get a membership, it has some serious benefits. And when I'm starting off on the market, I'm looking at the market summary page, and this is all available. I'm taking the free side. All right. This is all available to anybody that comes to the StockCharts website. But this is a great way to just get an overview of what the market is doing, and you get data that's updated via BATS. So it is semi-real time, so to speak. But I can see how the major markets are doing. I can scroll down and see the major indexes, and I've got this set to ETFs. I can see the sectors at one glance. And what's really nifty is you can click on one of these names to see the chart over there on the left. So I really like that aspect of it. But I think Greg probably has a niftier way to look at things when he's logged in.
Yeah, and I want to just add, before we bring Greg in about this, to talk about this, first of all, you mentioned a couple of great points. The free membership, the free information is still very, very solid. I mean, you can still get a lot of great information. But I'm now going to bring in the member, Greg Schnell. And Greg, how are things in Canada with your membership?
Well, they're a lot better for me. So first of all, I'm a big fan of customized charts, so that matters a lot to me. But one of the things that always happens for the Canadians, like a lot of the site information here, we quickly see top 10 S&P 500, but I can drop down and get my TSX all from my member dashboard. I can click in on here and just see how the TSX is doing today, and I get all my custom intraday views. So just for gallery, just for this particular style of chart, I can go in here and have my own specific chart settings for all of these. And as you can see, we're waiting for the TSX to do what the S&P and Dow have just done, and that is break out to new highs. So with all of that going on, this is just an instant, quick way to get going. Arthur just showed you the market view, but I think a lot of the things that I have advantage to. So as an example, let's just say the S&P 500 stocks, and here's the candle glance for the top 10 today. And I click on it. Well, I don't get the default candle glance. I get what I like to see, and that is that I've made my own PPO indicator show up at the bottom. And to me, weekly PPO is probably one of the biggest things I'm interested in. And here's a PPO on Micron going sideways, pull back, bounce up to the near zero, pull back, and now looks like it's ready to resume just as it's breaking above the 10 and 40 week moving averages, full stochastic moving above 50. Like, this is just exactly the kind of thing I want to see on a quick update, and that's not going to show on the default settings. So I think
you get two indicators in place of one as well. On the normal candle glance, on the free candle glance, you just get one indicator.
Yeah, that would drive me crazy.
And you can't get weekly. So yeah.
Yeah, to me, and again, I'm a big weekly investor. I really don't day trade, but here's Nvidia with that nice little downslope I mentioned earlier. When this downtrend and momentum breaks and starts to turn to the upside, and we're seeing, a group of the semiconductors all start to move here, this just looks like a place to get on board with a lot of things. And I would much rather have my settings and the way I like to look at the world rather than just kind of a default setting. So that's probably the single most important thing for me. Um, and the ability to have your own dashboard designed the way you like it, so you have whatever set up here. And I know Tom has another layer of indicators down here, but for me, I go in and I grab my scans first thing in the morning. I've got all of these alerts that fire off mail to me every day, and gold miners, we've had gold on the move lately, so this one's just fired off again this morning. And every day I get new updates coming into my mail that I can select. I just can't imagine not trying to do that. That would make it very difficult for me. So
yeah, and you mentioned the dashboard, and I'm going to go ahead and just show this as well, because this is really important to me. I would have said prior to the new dashboard, I would have said probably scanning and chart lists were two of the key features for me, because it helps me to organize. But chart lists help me to organize within a chart list. The dashboard really gives me the big picture organization of everything, just about everything that I do at StockCharts. Like you mentioned, you've got the scans, which on this account, I've got everything set up. I've got the additional data panels, the scans, alerts, and then also the chart list panels. And you get that by simply clicking on this little gear over in the upper right-hand corner. You can customize what you see. And one of the neat features is to have your chart list down here as a panel. So a couple of the really strong areas, or a couple of strong chart lists, or strong earnings chart list, I should say, I use because I can quickly sort and see what's moving in my watch list and what's not moving, and what's moving in the wrong direction. Also, I have a relative strength. So I sometimes will go to the sector summary, but it's also very quick for me to see that healthcare providers are outperforming the S&P 500. So I've got a chart list of all the industry groups, so I can quickly see healthcare, railroads, both leading to the upside on a relative basis. So there's a lot you can do in customization and organization. And you all were talking about how you start your day. I really start my day mostly from the dashboard, because I can quickly see the way I have mine set up, what's leading the market, and then also among the watch list stocks that I have, which ones are moving, which ones aren't. I do the, I look at the scooter mover of the day every day here on the show, but having these technical rankings set up, small cap, mid cap, and large cap, top up, it's telling me very quickly some individual stocks that I might want to zero in on that maybe aren't on my strong earnings chart list. So there's a lot of great information right here from the dashboard. And while chart lists and scanning are two powerful tools within StockCharts, this kind of summarizes and organizes all of it and brings it all together, which I think is pretty amazing.
it really is. Yeah. Just the ability, I can't imagine starting from a blank template every morning. I don't know how I would do it actually. So,
well, one other thing that the three of us have in common at StockCharts, even including the non-member Arthur, is we do a lot of commentary. And so the differences in the commentary from a free subscription versus a paid subscription is pretty substantial. Now, I know, Arthur, you write a blog, you have your regular blog. Greg, you do the same. I do the same. We have our shows. Why don't the two of you, as members and non-members, discuss a little bit about what you see and what you don't see?
Okay, well, let's take a look at that, because you can really tell right off the bat which articles are free and which are for paid subscribers. First of all, if you're a free member, you're going to get some pop-ups coming up. So you're going to have to wade through some ads. The articles with the white background there are open to everybody, but the ones with a green shading, like John Murphy, legendary technical analyst, those are behind the paywall, so you need to be a member to read John Murphy. You also need to be a member to read Martin Pring, and there's some guy named Arthur Hill as well. You need to be a member to read his articles and analysis. There's Martin Pring's Market Roundup. And he's talking about 3 sectors and 5 industry groups poised to move higher. And I'd sure like to know which ones these are, but I'm not a member, so I can't really look at those. One thing that you can do as a free user is you can always go to StockCharts TV, which I guess you'll know about because you're watching it right now. But there's a whole list of shows down there below that you can watch, as well as recordings. You look over here to the right, you can see the link for the recording. There's Greg's Market Buzz, and you can see Chartwise Women. That's our new show with Aaron and Mrs. McGonigal. And we also have, there you can see the Dwyer macro strategy. So a lot of good stuff on there for free users as well. But Greg, what does it look like behind the paywall?
The one thing that I think is most important, like, a lot of people pay for content around the internet. And one of the things that shocks me the most is that the volume of content on StockCharts, like all of these different blogs are set up. And then if you're a member, you have the ability to get down into these 3 articles down here, and we'll just cover off Martin Pring's Market Roundup. So it just pops into his own channel. You can go down through here if you're an avid fan of Martin, and again, jumping in to look at these different things. Martin tries to summarize what he's talking about at the top, and then as he goes through, and I don't know why I didn't get my charts to load, probably just an issue on
Canadian bandwidth.
Could be Canadian bandwidth, yeah. Maybe there's a tariff on it or something. I don't know. So, but
bitter. Hey, Greg, he's just bitter because he's a non-member right now.
Yeah.
I am.
So one of the things that when you're a StockCharts member and you're working through here, you get the ability to get chart packs and stuff from Arthur. It's this subscription stuff that you can set up, that you sign into, and you can ask for. Obviously, I get Canadian real-time data, US real-time data. So if I'm going to be trading my account or using my account to make investments, it helps to have real-time data if you want that. But that's also an opportunity to go from 20-minute delayed data into data that is up to the minute. So there's just so many things. And like Arthur has gone through here and set up all of these chart packs. And if I go, I went and grabbed his chart packs. It's like, why would I go set up ETF chart lists and all that kind of stuff when Arthur has everything all built up? So there's so many different tools. And again, these are chart lists that I have, and I have reams of them. But here's Arthur Hill's ETF Master List 1 and 2, and there's a whole bunch of other Arthur Hill things in my Arthur Hill's Market in a Nutshell chart pack. So Arthur's gone through and created all of this work. You don't have to do anything. It's all just sitting here waiting for you to go pull down. So there's so many things that I think from a member perspective, and just pulling down, somebody like Arthur. How many years have you been on the website, Arthur? 15.
Many. I came, I think I was before Chip.
You're the founder.
Yeah. A lot of people don't really know this, but no, just kidding. I came after Chip and Kelly, and I was one of the first in the beginning.
Yeah. So it's 25 years or
20 years, 20 plus, indeed.
Yeah. And so all of these things are sitting here that a professional market technician has set up for you to just go pull down, and all of the chart settings are there, and then you can click on them and adjust them any way you like. So I can't imagine, being able to just borrow somebody's work for the price of a membership. That is rocket ship stuff.
And those are like templates that you can use and apply. You can put other symbols in there as well.
Yeah, for sure.
For instance, that's showing the S&P 1500 high-low percent. But you could just change out the symbol to get the S&P 500 or small cap high-low percent. Yeah. So if you change it to SML there, you would get small cap high-low percent. And then you could save that to your chart list, so you could track small cap breadth that way.
And I also want to mention too, we haven't really talked about Chart School, but you did mention you kind of started back at the very beginning, Arthur, and you are primarily responsible for a lot of the work that was done in the Chart School. And I'm sure a lot of the members, both paid and free members, have used that Chart School to a large degree. So certainly thanks for all your contributions there, no doubt.
Thank you.
That's an amazing level of stuff that he has he has worked on diligently to
It's an
build that out.
encyclopedia. It truly is an encyclopedia of technical analysis. I think you've done a fabulous job there.
Yeah.
And I would just maybe throw one more thing in there about the commentary, because I really, I'm fairly self-taught. I'd like to think I am, but I did read John Murphy's books, and one of the things that's really cool as a member is being able to get constant updates from John Murphy. I mean, if anyone who's followed his work and the way he looks at the market and comparing different markets and asset classes and using those ratios and so forth, that's where I kind of, got my start in that area, was following a lot of John Murphy's work. So
we all went through technical analysis of the financial markets in the beginning, didn't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
And intermarket analysis as well, his classic book.
Yep. And I still refer to them occasionally. They sit on my bookshelf. So, all right. Well, we are going to move on into technical indicators and customizing charts and some of the features there. I would turn it over to you, Arthur, but I don't think you can do anything. So,
I'm going to try here.
Take it away.
So, so if you're just a non-member and you're coming to StockCharts, sure, you can pull up a chart of, say, QQQ, and you can put on a maximum of 3 overlays. So here I've got a moving average, 2 moving averages in volume by price, but that's the most I can put on. And I can put on 3 indicators as well. But that's about all I can do. There's an annotate button, and I can definitely click that button, and I can do some annotating if I want to draw a couple of trend lines here. But, to save it, I would have to do a screenshot. And what's really nice is after a while, you start building up a list of favorites and you put them in a chart list and you annotate them, and then you save your annotations. But I cannot save my annotations. And I work a lot with annotations because they tell me what I was seeing back in the past and how it worked out, because I don't change my annotations as I go forward. I leave them there because I know, so that kind of like is a track record of, whether I was right or wrong back then. And it's a learning experience because it tells you where you were wrong when you can annotate and save it. And then another thing, the size is fixed. You can't do a custom size here. So it is limited in what you can do here. And I think Greg Schnell can show you a lot more here when he takes over from a member standpoint.
Yeah. For the tool,
it's just not fair.
It's really so crazy. So one of the things about Candle Glance tools, you can customize them all, but down here in the bottom left is a chart styles button that members don't have access to, and you can have all of these different settings of charts. So here's an Alexander Elder daily chart, and well, I obviously named it that and didn't change it, but that's funny. But down at the bottom here is
there you go. There's Elder.
There's Elders Weekly. And what you see here is it's got the red, green, blue. And I love that. I mean, if you have read his Trading for a Living book and understand what he's basically saying, the weekly has to line up with the daily, and just color coded so it all works. These settings are all sitting here. And of course, you can change whole entire chart lists to have that. So on the side here, I have all of these little buttons, and this button here, this is my go-to chart for weekly. And if you've watched the Market Buzz or my weekend market reviews of Canada and US markets, you'll see, this is my favorite setting. And I've got a scooter ranking up here. And what I like the scooter ranking for is it's more responsive to help me see when a stock is really starting to outperform an index. And, the CVS Health, basically it went years without outperforming, briefly started to, and turned back right away. Well, now it's actually perking back up. And, do you want to play in that space? That's a good question. But as Tom pointed out this morning, the healthcare is starting to break out. So maybe this is an area to start to lean into. But really quick, I have, all of these different chart settings, and notice how they're full width. They're taken over the whole page. I can add the zoom panels over here on the right. I have a MACD of a 50, 100, and 9, which is, normally it's 12, 26, and 9, but this is on a 60-minute chart. And then I have a really long-term MACD. And essentially what I want to know is the stock starting to build a long-term uptrend? And you'll start to see this go, I think if I go pick a Canadian stock like CNQ as an example. This stock was really underperforming for a long period. It basically started to outperform, pulled back a bit, and now it's starting to perform again. Can this start to work higher? Great question. We don't have the answer, but the whole idea that I have multiple different levels or multiple time frames of momentum I can check out. That's fabulous for me. And again, PPO and MACD. This is the histogram. I really like the line on the PPO. And again, on a weekly chart, a PPO is percentage price movement, MACD is price movement. And so a chart like Amazon will have an extreme MACD number compared to something like CNQ. And then the difference would be if I did it in percentage, both of them could get 10 or 15% on a weekly chart. So all of that is available. Now, again, I have a default setup for full width. I have a default setup for writing my articles because they have to be a narrower chart. So all of these are just one click and they're set up and ready to rock.
Plus, Greg, you can go 5 years, longer than 5 years. I can only go 5 years, and
yeah.
I can't do monthlies.
That would, yeah. And I do monthlies all the time. I think for most people reading my articles or watching my stuff.
Yeah, you're doing some long charts.
Yeah, in all of my chart lists. So, and these are all of my industry chart lists that I have set up and whatever. Arthur wrote an article about marijuana stocks. Well, I have 90 marijuana stocks all listed together in here. And, if all of a sudden, whatever, healthcare starting to break out. So I've got Healthcare Canada. I don't have Healthcare US. I could just quickly go set one up. It wouldn't take very much, but I have all of these broken out any way I want to see them. And, I just can't
put those on your members' dashboard.
Yeah, and I just can't imagine if oil's starting to break out, and I don't know which oil stock to start going to, which ones are the high movers. I've got them all grouped together so I can quickly go rank them by either SCTR, the scooter ranking, or rank them by dividend, rank them by full stochastic turning up, PPO turning up, anything I want. So just so much more flexibility. And again, down here, I have all 50 of my chart styles used. And when you go through all of these, like Pring's Nirvana Weekly, Martin loves this chart setup, and it really is helpful. So, I just changed from my work to Martin's work that quick. That's just awesome.
Two questions. One question for you, Greg. Number one, what would happen if you had to go back to using just 3 overlays and 3 indicators?
Well, I'd be naked. I just couldn't trade. Like, I literally don't think about the market. To me, a lot of it is the industry movement. So I really need to have all my chart lists set up so I can see movement in the industry. Then I want to go find the strongest stock in the sector. I want to find the sectors that are the strongest. Obviously, it's been technology for 10 years. But, if you're a commodity trader, the gold trade here just a month ago, I was able to jump in very quickly on the first morning, and I think that trade I pulled 40% out of in 3 or 4 weeks. If I didn't have everything all set, I'd be fumbling around trying to find the trade I want. By the time I get in, I've missed the move, and so if you're a commodity trader, you're going to be in and out of these things. Those are not long-term holds. You have to decide how you're going to trade something. But for me, the biggest issue is making sure that I can, if all of a sudden the financials are starting to break out, I just go to my financials chart and I pull them all up and I pick what I want. If I see rare earth metals are starting to break out, I go grab that chart list. If I see it's gold, if I see it's whatever software, I just jump into those spaces and start to see the charts. Now, the one thing that we do with the scooter ranking is we only give you the top 10 as a free component. As a member, you get to see them all. And I find 2 of the most important areas for me, typically, and I did this on my Market Buzz yesterday, went through scooter rankings and, a simple scan for scooters between 60 and 80 that are starting to turn up. 2 different ways to look at that. I just can't imagine not being able to go in and grab that sort of information at the click of a button. That is just so helpful for me to find the moves I want.
All right. Well, Arthur, we're going to talk about scooters here in just a minute. But first, we were talking about the time frames and the limitations that you have as a free member, not being able to use the long-term charts, the monthly, and so forth. Are there any restrictions as far as the short term, like minute, hourly? I mean, can you use all those charts?
No, I cannot use minute or hourly charts. So I would be handicapped in that regard. Personally, I don't use intraday charts anymore, but guys, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to log into my account and show you what I have to see. It just wasn't working. And what I like to do is I like to plot these special breadth indicators that we have. And, I've got the big 6 sectors and I've got the high-low percent indicators. So I can see which sectors are creating the most highs. And you can see it's XLK, technology. Healthcare is not doing so great. Finance is perking up. Communication services is perking up. So it looks like technology, healthcare, finance, and communication services are starting to perk up. And I can see that all on one chart by getting all those indicators on. Whereas if I'm not a member, I can only put 3 indicators on. So sorry for that lapse there, but I just couldn't handle it.
I thought you could make it 30 minutes. Come on, Arthur.
Yeah, I couldn't make it 30 minutes. But, here I am on the free one again, and there's the period setting. You get daily and weekly. So if you want to get a 60-minute chart because you see a setup maybe brewing on the daily chart and you want to hone in on the 60-minute to really fine-tune your timing, which is fine, then you can do that if you have a membership.
Well, and the other thing I like, I use a different background for each thing. So I have a daily background, a weekly background, a 60-minute background, monthlies. So whenever I'm moving through my charts, they always show differently for each background. So I don't accidentally mistake when I'm looking at weeklies or dailies or whatever. It's a very quick thing to have different color backgrounds and stuff, all preset.
All right. We're going to move on to our final area of this discussion. And of course, StockCharts, one of the exclusive features and tools here at StockCharts is the StockCharts Technical Rank, the scooters, SCTRS, the scooters. We talk about it a lot here on Market Watchers Live. And another area is the RRG charts. Of course, we have Julius de Kempenaar, who is the founder of the RRG charts, and he comes on the show quite a bit. We refer to the RRG quite a bit. These are 2 exclusive features here at StockCharts. How is that impacted as far as being a member versus a non-member? As a non-member, what can you see or what can you use, Arthur?
Well, I love to see rankings. I like to see stocks ranked by a particular indicator, and 2 of them that do the relative strength would be our scooters and the RRG charts. So here I am on our scooters page, and you can still access this page. There's the charts and tools page. And if you go over to the right, then you will see ads, of course. They're the member tools, but there's some reports. Pardon?
Up a little bit farther is the scooter report. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. There's the scooter report. And so I get 10. So I can't see where the other ones are. I can do a sort, but I'm only sorting the top 10. So that really doesn't help me as far as, finding stocks that are maybe crossing that 70 level to move into the top third of the scooter range and showing, probably a renewed or moving into the leadership group. With the RRG here, what I can't see is, I've got to move this. There we go. This is the basic RRG. And RRG was made for rotation, especially sector rotation. And when Greg takes the screen, he's going to show you an RRG doing the sector rotation. This is just a basic RRG chart. And I can do a little movement, but you can see I'm limited in the symbols that are put on. And if I want to put in my own symbols, I can't do it. And if I did, then I could see which ones are rotating, improving, leading, weakening, and lagging, and I can easily isolate the leading and lagging sectors and stocks. So Greg, I'll turn it over to you to show it how to do it.
Okay, so one of the things that happens on the, let me just go quickly here, on the dashboard, as an example, you've got everything all set up, and with the dashboard, one of the options down here is the RRG. So you just go grab it. It shows you the top 10 stocks and which ones, what's starting to move up. So here we see Pfizer, Bristol Myers, and CVS. What do they have in common? Well, they're all in healthcare, but they're all just coming out of the improving and heading into the leading. Now, that's very nice. I could also check on those on a weekly chart, on a daily basis, and I can just hit update. So I can see them in the time frames I want to see them. Here's Microsoft and Nvidia, or sorry, Micron and Nvidia way over here already. And what could happen with Nvidia is it can literally circle on the right-hand side of this chart, basically saying that it's the relative strength continues to outperform the center of the grid. And in this case, it's the benchmark, which is S&P. But I can change that to be NASDAQ as an example. I could change it to be CompQ, whatever I want. I can set up any benchmark I want. I can use cash. I can use the treasury, anything in there. And then from that, there's also groups that you can check on, and you can go see different members of all of these. I mean, this, Julius has built out this list. He's made our life so easy. You just go in and grab the US industries, and it's going to help show you, and you can toggle on and off ones that you don't want to know. So you could just toggle off anything in the red here and just focus on the green.
And the table ranking at the bottom is really good too.
Yeah, like just all of this is laid
There's
out.
your top stocks. Yeah.
So
or groups, excuse me.
Top groups. But we can, again, here's the XLY members, and we can go bring it up here, and he's built us a nice list, and we could just very quickly see everything that's in the top right hand corner on a weekly chart. We can zoom in, we can change the dates here, so we can just run the slider and watch how these rotate. There's so many tools I have on RRG, and obviously Julius does a great job of getting these to that you can adjust the tail length just by dragging this. There's just so much customization that you can set up. And if you haven't used relative strength, Julius's tool is intuitive in terms of, you want to see them going bottom left to top right. And as they start to break out, this is a great place on the chart just to keep looking for them. And even when they get way over here, like this KMX could probably just circle over here on the right-hand side. So it doesn't mean when they go into weakening, you don't keep watching them. It might mean that they get down here and you add to them. So it can actually help you just find stocks that are really strong on a pullback. So it's just so many tools in that one.
Yeah, well, I think we've gone over a lot of the differences between the two. And I do want to say, Arthur, thanks for kind of playing along and being our little non-member guinea pig here on the show, because I know it is a little frustrating after you're used to seeing all the things and all the tools that you're able to use at StockCharts to have to go back and to try to find out all the things that you can't access any longer. But very, very good job, Arthur. Appreciate it.
I'm sending Chip another check tonight.
And Greg, well done as the member. You did a great job illustrating a lot of the cool features.
Okay, great.
All right, so that is the end of this panel discussion. I do want to thank Arthur for joining us today. Great job, and I will definitely be checking out your blogs. Everyone should be checking out your blog, Arthur, and making sure that they follow along with a lot of the things that you look at when you analyze the market. Appreciate you both for joining us during the panel discussion.
Thanks. Take care.
Thanks, Arthur.